Hi everyone, in this video I will demonstrate a new functionality around additive manufacturing, specifically a new 3D additive arrangement named TrueShape. So to do this, I have two apps installed. One is the HP app and the other one is the 3D Printing Essentials app. So let's go ahead and start using the 3D Printing Essentials app to open multiple step files for this demonstration. So I have a handful of step files right here. So I'll pick these and hit open, and Fusion will open them in the location that they are designed. To make the visualization a little bit more appealing, I'll go ahead and turn on the component colors, so we have unique colors for every single one. And to get a sense of which part is what, I will select this one and to understand what part that is, and it looks like that is part C. So I will remember that as a part of my demonstration. And let's go back and revert the position. So to create our additive setup, I will use the HP app and create an HP additive setup using a Jet Fusion 5000 printer. This automatically takes me to the manufacturer workspace, creates an additive setup using that specific printer, and places the parts in that setup. What it doesn't do is it doesn't automatically arrange these parts. In the past, if I wanted to arrange these parts, I would have to go to Arrange and choose one of the arrangement types, such as the bounding box, or the Monte Carlo, or even the 2D arrangement, and place these parts in the build volume. I had controls about the spacing between the parts, and a little bit about the pre-rotations, the initial rotations of the parts, but that's all the controls I had. And the outcome looked something like this, that I had placed the parts that I had designed into my build volume. I did not have control over creating duplications of parts or rotations of parts during the 3D packing process, which meant that if I wanted multiples of a given part, say I wanted multiples of this part, I would have to create those duplicates ahead of time and then use the packing algorithm. Now, in this release, we have a new arrangement type called 3D Arrange TrueShape. This arrangement type is exclusively available in Fusion and has options that you can use to create copies and control the rotations. So let's demonstrate that. So the first thing is priority, and by default all parts have the same priority, but you can prioritize based on their volume. So you can do that, and then the highest volume object gets placed first during the packing. For now, let's just go to individual component priority, which allows me to control the priority, and it's this part C that I'm interested in, and I'll increase its priority to high, which means it will get packed first. Next, I'll demonstrate the creation of copies, and by default, let's say I want 10 copies of each part, but I can override a given part, and I can say, give me 30 copies of part C. Simultaneously, I can control the rotation during packing, and I can try different rotations. I can say the parts are not allowed to rotate in X or Y, but they're allowed to rotate in Z with an increment of 90 degrees or any custom increment that I want. So for example, let's say 20-degree increments. On Z is okay, but parts are not allowed to rotate in any other axes. I can do that. I can also customize the rotations for a given part or a selection of parts. So let's use this part C again as an example, and instead of using the global rotations, we will say custom rotation for that part. And I can also say no rotation for another part. So I can control the rotations of given parts explicitly. If I customize the rotation of a given part, I can select that part or multiple parts, right-click, and edit, which brings up a new dialog, which lets me control the rotations of a specific part. So for example, this part, I can say 90 degrees in X, Y, and Z are allowed for that specific component for rotation while placing these parts. So once you have customized this, you can go ahead and initiate the packing. Before I do, I just want to highlight a couple more things. That right now I have 8 components as input, and I'm going to maximize the space use. Let's go maybe 2 millimeters away from the edges, and let's go with a 4 millimeter object spacing and a 2 millimeter voxel size, which is, how accurate do I want my results to be. The smaller this number is, the smaller voxel size is used, so the spacing result is more accurate, but it will take a little bit longer if I make this too small, because then it has to create those voxels for each part and the build volume, and that takes time. So for now, if I go with these settings, remember we have 8 components as an input, but we asked for 10 copies of each, except for part C, where we asked for 30 copies. When we hit OK, we get the outcome when the additive arrange is complete. And we can monitor what's happening here. It's about 40%, 50%. And that's done. And we can look at the outcome. And that's what the outcome looks like. So here we have these parts. We have multiple copies of each of them, 10 of each, and then we have 30 of the C. And all of them get added to not only the manufacturing model, which if we expand it we will see it, but they also get added to the active setup, which is the setup object right here. And if you want to learn more about the packing density and how many parts there are in this setup, we can right click and edit and take a look at our arrangement statistics, and we will see 100 total parts. And the density of this pack is such that it is 7.25 when compared to the entirety of the build volume, or the highest parts, highest location is 202 millimeters. So if we consider only the first 202 millimeters, which is the build height, the density is 13.64. So that is how we can pack our parts and control the quantity as well as the rotations during packing, and have a much better packing outcome using Fusion for 3D printing with machines such as Jet Fusion from HP, or SLS from other vendors such as EOS and Formlabs. This new 3D arrangement type is available to commercial users of Fusion and above. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, you can reach us on Autodesk Fusion forums.